Okay, guys, hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Bailey. If y'all see me on Zoom, and I'm here with the rest of Exec. We're really excited to be back in person since pre-COVID, so like early 2020. So we'll kick off our meeting with our opener.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Please. Okay, this is good. Don't worry. Just teasing y'all. Okay. It's like not. I don't know, all that tests have not stopped with the ice storms. I just thought this was really funny. Yeah.
Okay, and now we're gonna have a little outside guest from Camp Longhorn come speak with us. Her name is Jennifer. If y'all give her a little round of applause.
Hi, thanks for letting me come. My name is Jennifer Yeager. I am a pediatric nurse practitioner and doctorate student. I'll graduate in April. I know, I'm really excited. And you'll all be there one of these days. Now they have the BSN to DNP program, so go and do it once you graduate. And I have the best job in the world. I get to work at a summer camp all summer. And it really is sort of a year-round job. Has anybody heard of Camp Longhorn? Anybody worked at Camp Longhorn? Hi, good to see you up there. We have some really great camp nursing students who have worked at camp. Audrey's one of them, worked for 2 summers. Sorry to call you out, but she is she started your junior year?
Yeah, like summer before
Junior year, and then got to come back last summer. So I'm really sad she's graduating because I'm excited for you guys when you graduate, but I'm sad because you no longer come to camp anymore unless you come back as a nurse in a few years. So I don't know how to say it. So Camp Longhorn is a camp located, it's outside of Austin near Burnett, and we hire nursing students to help staff our 3 infirmaries that we call the pit stop. And this is our 83rd summer. It's a family-owned camp, and we have multi-generational campers and campers that return year after year, counselors that return year after year, and staff that return year after year. So in our pit stops, we hire nursing students, nurses, EMTs, paramedics, nurse practitioners, PAs, and physicians. And here about all 3 of our camps that we're all run under the same camp umbrella as far as the pit stops work, but 3 opportunities to work at camp. This one. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, not.
Not my specialty here. Working in camp as a student nurse gives you a whole lot of valuable hands-on experience. You get to perform physical assessments, administer first aid. We see a lot of things at camp. We have about 500 campers each term for 4 terms and about 250 staff members that we get to take care of. We see tons of skin infections. We see lacerations. We see colds, allergies, so many different things. We administer a ton of medications, and we follow standing orders that require us to administer as needed medications. We do allergy shots, we stabilize wounds, we suture at camp, we prescribe at camp, we can run COVID tests, strep tests, urinalysis, all kinds of things. And we follow these really great standing orders that allow us to be able to go in there and say, you know, a camper comes in with a headache, and you use that kind of clinical knowledge and treat, and you independently get to decide what you're going to give the camper, and then weigh them and give them their Tylenol, Motrin, Zyrtec, those type of things. So a lot of independence as a nursing student, hands-on clinical skills, but you have these excellent registered nurses that are there with you at all times to help you and guide you. And we love working with students and teaching in a very casual, fun environment. We also get to document in our camp doc system, which the students say that's one of their favorite things because they get to learn medical terminology. They get to actually practice that documentation that you guys don't get to do in clinicals. And then, of course, just interacting with our campers and counselors. Our campers are fun. It's fun to get to know them. You know, we see some that come in over and over again. We see them who come in for their meds. You get to know them well. And, you know, it also, I always say it's like, this is the best parenting, pre-parenting job too, because you learn a lot about kids and you learn a lot about, you know, just those developmental milestones as well. I say this is a ER rotation, a pediatric rotation, and a dermatology rotation, all in one. Thank you. So what do you get out of this experience? Like I said, it's just a really good hands-on experience. Casual, we have so many opportunities with multiple terms, the 3 camps, to be able to help fit your schedules if you are taking a class over the summer or you have a tech job or you're on vacation. You know, we can usually find a place that we could fit you for, you know, 2-week, 3-week term or longer if you want to be able to learn more and actually practice these skills. Like I said, super hands-on. Then we also have time to enjoy camp. And camp has a lot of fun activities. We have a lazy river, we have zip lines, lake activities, petting zoo, horses. Then, of course, making new friends, and it is a paid position. And then we do rotating time off. So we believe that everybody needs a chance to recharge their batteries. And so we offer time off every other evening, and then also during the day to be able to do some of these fun things, or to be able to leave camp and go into town or study, take a nap, go to bed early, whatever, you know, you guys decide to do. So like I said, we have the 3 different camps, and then these are the camp dates, and these are also on our website that I put up here, camplonghorn.com. And so we start out with a little orientation 24 hours before the campers come, and that's a chance for us to do a, you know, discovery of pit stop, learn what we're going to do, what you need to do. But it's a very easy, laid back experience to where you learn on the job. But you're working with nurses who have all been there, and it's not, we're not grading you. We're there to work with you and to have fun. We do have a lot of fun. There's busy times and down times. We start the day about 7:30. And if you're working that night, you're usually done about 10:30 with some time off during the day. And then if you're off that night, you're off by 6:30. We offer 3 meals a day. We have snacks. We have Wi-Fi and air conditioning and Wi-Fi and pit stop all the time. Camp does not have camp does not have electricity in the cabins. So this is a really big treat for pit stop to be able to have internet all the time and air conditioning. And this is just a little job summary that kind of already talked about. Just being able, you know, to work with other people is probably the main thing. You know, you do live in the pit stop with other nursing students, which can be really fun because you get to know them. A lot of students will go get another job, you know, with somebody else, and you already have those connections. And then we also love to write recommendations. I write a recommendation for almost every single student that I've had, you know, for a tech job, for a real job. And this is such a unique experience where you get to do so much and you actually get to do it, that it makes a really good resume builder. And then I talked about, you know, just basic housekeeping duties, you know, just being friendly, being able to interact with campers and counselors. And then you don't have to know anything. we're there to teach you. If you are a first-year nursing student and you haven't had a clinical course, you get to do the same thing as the senior nursing students who have had clinical courses for several semesters. So everybody gets to do the same thing. We also have other fun jobs besides like administering medications. The people who do town run, who would take somebody into the ER if they had to go for an x-ray or labs or something like that. And then everybody's favorite job is to pick up the medications from the pharmacy and drive the Camp Suburban. So or pick up, run to the store and pick up something else we need it for fit stop. And then, there's always times that we have an emergency or we have accidents that, takes everybody to work together. So being able to stay calm, remembering, that this is a medical and, clinical time, and being able to help where needed. And then here's some pictures. Like I said, we have a lot of fun. We have horses, mini horses, pools, lazy rivers, lakes, and just getting to know the students and getting to know the nurses and having, that time together. A lot of times the students will go over NCLEX questions, and I took the NCLEX like 20 years ago, so I can't answer any of those questions. And you guys all know them so much better than I am. And I'm always like, oh gosh, like I'm failing you. But I learned something from you guys every single summer. And then again, just lots of fun. There's busy times, there's downtime, a lot of learning, just kind of on our own, but we make it fun. It's also very laid back. It's hot outside, so we wear shorts and t-shirts. You don't have to wear scrubs. You can if you want. I usually wear my swimsuit under my clothes so that during quiet time I can go straight to the lazy river and I'm ready to go and I don't miss out on any of my downtime. So I've left this information up here. You can give me a call. I am the director of Indian Springs, but I also promote all 3 camps and will help hire for all 3 camps. If you think, you look at the website and you're like, oh, I want to try Inks or I want to try C3, I will get you to the right person there if you have any questions. You can also go online and apply, and you can choose which site, which terms you might be available. Nothing is set in stone in there. And so if you say, well, I don't know what I'm doing this summer, so I might be available for all terms, you can mark those. And when one of us calls you or emails you, then, we can decide what's going to work best for you and where we have places. But we love TCU, we love TCU nursing students. We've had just some of the best students who've come back, and we are so excited to be able to come here tonight and tell you about camp. And feel free to email me or get online. You can also email Jennifer Dyke at Inks or Tyler at C3 as well, and we'll get you help you get where you need to go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And if you guys want to get in contact with Jennifer, you're like not sure, thinking about it, you guys can take a picture of this now, or if you guys just want to email me at like TCU SNA President, I can get you guys in contact with them too.
Yeah, and I'm happy, to answer any questions. I do have the compensation and pay sheets too available. I can let you know what you would make. We have bonuses available, and just email me and I'll be happy to help you guys out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome back, you guys. Thanks for coming. This is a really, really great turnout for our first meeting back in person. So I'm so glad you guys are here. We're going to try to start moving forward, kind of getting away from Zoom. So if you guys are on Zoom and y'all can hear me, we're recording this now, and then if people can't make it, we're hoping to eventually move back all in person. Hopefully this room can get completely full, Each time we'll have like snacks for you guys and we'll do raffles and you get to hear the speakers in person and ask them questions. So it's just a little more personal, more community. So we're really excited to be getting back to that. So if you guys want to pull out your phones and scan this QR code, this is called the Daisy Award, and you guys can nominate a peer for just going above and beyond. It kind of explains it on the form whenever you go through. It really won't take you that long to do, but it's just kind of someone who comes to your mind whenever you think about what it truly means to be a nurse. Someone who's kind, someone who's compassionate, just going above and beyond for other people. So you guys can fill that out if you want. And then stay tuned. We're currently planning the SNA Mental Health Week. It'll be late March, early April. I know we did this like last year in the fall. We're planning really fun activities. So we'll have fundraisers, like maybe possibly like workout classes, coffee tabs, things like that. We're trying to do this the same week that SGA does their mental health week. And then we'll have different points associated with that too. So just be on the lookout. And then if you guys ever need any help or just want to talk, email me, message me on GroupMe, Instagram, anything like that. I'm always here. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone. I hope you have a great spring break next week, and I don't really have much, but care package information will be sent out hopefully within the next week. So just be on the lookout for that and tell your parents to look out for that as well.
Okay, if you're graduating in this semester, this spring, I will send out a form. I'll just send it, are you all in the group me? Like either of the groupies, is everyone in that? If not, then we can get that sent out to your, like, we'll have it on our website. I think most people are in it, but I can send it in there. I just want to see who all is like on track to get it forward. I think most people are aware of this, but I did get a question from a senior saying like, I'm not currently a core track member or an active member, but I've already done 3, like, well, I'm not going to core, it doesn't matter. Like, the only requirement is the 3 semesters being active, core track, whatever you want to call it, just 3. Don't have to be consecutive or anything like that. Look at that roster. I know I have not been the best at updating it. I get sidetracked, but I'm going to try to do it in 3 to 5 days. So if I don't get, like, if you like look at it and it hasn't been updated in a while, I probably missed it. So email me and I can get it fixed because I don't want to stress y'all out about that. And that link is on our website, just under Spring 22 roster. Point opportunities, we've had some people submitting like dance marathon or things for other things. Those are all amazing things. I don't know if we approved that, but from now on, I think we're going to try to, we'll let y'all know if points from other clubs, because we love supporting like other organizations. I think that's awesome. But we'll let you know if it's approved or not. And you can always ask if that's a questionable thing or not. Anyways, I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions about the membership status or anything like that? That's where I sit down. Okay. Well, if you have any questions, just text me, email me.
Hey, please join the photo circle. I've been posting photos from people that have graduated like 3 years ago. And it's just slightly embarrassing when they're like, hey, like you're choosing my photo, like I'm now in DNP school, and I'm like, okay. So please join that.
And if you guys are on Zoom, we're not sending out the links, but we can send this stuff in the group meet after. And if you guys have friends that are in the group meet, or if you're in the group meet and your friends aren't in the group meet, it should be open access so you can add like your nursing friends to the group. Okay, Adriana's not here, so I'm gonna read her slide. So if you guys actually went to TCU Dance Marathon, we're gonna count this as a point, approve it. So just send in your points like Maddie said. Our point opportunity, the big one for this month, is gonna be the VBOUT resilience room. So if you guys just go visit, that'll count as a point. Take a picture of yourself doing the activity and you'll submit it. It's in Bass 3223. So it's on the 3rd floor in Bass. And then if you just kind of go to like the very back corner, it'll be in there. We really want you guys to start going. So this will be like a running point. If you go, so kind of how like the point opportunities work, if you go to the resilience room 1 time this semester, it counts for 1 point. If you go twice, you can't use it for a point again. But we encourage you guys to keep going. Kind of like the same thing, like if you're donating blood, like if this says, you can donate it anywhere, send in a picture for a point. But if you donate blood twice this semester, it will only count as 1 point. because we want you guys to do different service opportunities, if that makes sense. We're having a bunch of upcoming point opportunities in March and April, so stay tuned in the group me on Instagram for all that stuff from Amy. Y'all have any questions about points? Yeah.
Do you know if the resilience room has like make an appointment or anything to go in there?
No, you should be able to just walk in and then
You just have to swipe your card,
Oh,
is what it is. I think swiping it and then you can go in.
okay.
Dance breakdown does count for
so you're fine.
for other things, like.
Yeah, so like kind of like what Maddie's meeting on that for everyone on Zoom too. Like we love supporting other clubs, but we want to kind of like stay focused on like SNA and doing things like out in the community. So like the Frogs for Pediatrics did like cards for cooked children's, which was great, and then a ton of people sent that in, but we weren't really counting that as a point, unless Maddie already like approved it. But from here on
So
out,
far, I have.
yeah, but from here on out, moving forward, just for clarification, we won't be doing that anymore.
Also, sorry, one more thing, like if you have a job or like anything that you're getting like paid for or anything that you're doing for clinical, I don't think that counts.
No, yeah, it's all like volunteer opportunities. So if you guys are like volunteering out in the community, so say you like work at like, or not work in a hospital, like volunteer to hospital, like the Cook Children's College Volunteer Program. If you're going and giving your time for that, that's like a volunteer hour.
If it's like class credit or something that you're already, no double dipping.
Yeah,
It's about helping the community.
thanks guys.
Hi y'all, just a couple things from me. So first, if you haven't been able to make any of the 5 class apps I've done for merch, please text me by March 18th to pick those up. After that day, I'm gonna put them in storage, so they'll be kind of out of my possession. And then really exciting, some TCU nursing Yetis are for sale. If you scan that QR code, it's gonna take you to like an order form for that. To order, they're $39, and you're just gonna fill out the Google form, which I'll also send in the group me, and then also Venmo TCU SNA $30. Thanks, y'all.
Hello. So we have another profit share. So fun. We love them. So it's gonna be this Wednesday, all day at Mama Couples. And if you're in clinical, it's just a nice drive down from like the district, like the medical district. Go with like your clinical group, go with friends, make some friends. And if you want to go and you're like, hey, like, I don't really have any nursing friends yet, like literally come down, come find an SNA exec member or me, and I'll go with you. Okay, and don't forget to mention that you're with SNA to get the credit, because it'd be sad if we went and then we didn't say anything. Credit.
Okay, everybody, today our speaker, we actually have 2 speakers. They're both NICU nurses, so they're gonna be talking about all things tiny humans, as they said in their emails. Hope everybody has a great spring break, but I'll let them come down. Make sure y'all are thinking of questions and everything, so we're gonna give us a little bit of rundown what the NICU's like and what they do and everything. But they also want to answer all the questions that y'all have, so speak up, ask questions. Yes. How are you guys doing? I was excited that we were gonna get to do this. Is it okay if I take this off of here? It's really hard to hear myself when I have a mask on. I'm Melanie Nolte, and I have been a NICU nurse for 16 years and a preceptor for 14. I have my BSN. I'm certified in extremely low birth weight infants. And I have a passion for the little bitties. So this is my friend Megan, fellow nurse.
Hi, I'm Megan. I've been a NICU nurse for 1 year. And I'm passionate about learning about this population and being a good nurse, because I was in your, well, not here, but I was a nursing student a little over a year ago. So
We thought we'd be a good team.
yeah.
So we felt like if you had both ends of the spectrum, that you could kind of fill out,
I asked Megan, poor Megan. So this is something that birthed from my experience of being a NICU nurse for so many years, this passion to create a mentorship for you guys. We're really just here to serve you. We just want to give you guys what you need tonight, okay? So I asked her, I said, hey, Megan, I'm gonna go talk to TC in a week or 2 weeks or whatever. I was like, would you be interested in coming with me? She's like, sure, what are we doing? I was like, we're just talking about NICU, just trying to answer some questions. She's like, sure. And then next thing I'm like, hey, okay, so I'm gonna give you my weakness straight up from the beginning. It's technology. It's like when you try to teach your grandma how to text. That's it. So here I am and wanting to do this online mentorship support type thing. And I struggle, and we laugh, us old nurses, we struggle with it. And so first thing I wanted to do was like, hey Megan, how do I do this? And she giggles. Sometimes she's explaining something and she's like, oh my gosh. And she just laughs at me. But my heart is to help you guys. And so I figured the two of us would make a pretty good team.
I'm gonna pass these around. This is a preemie diaper. This is the largest preemie diaper. There are 2 other smaller sizes. We don't really use teeny tiniest for micros, but I'm gonna pass this around, and this is a blood pressure cuff. So this is, how much would you say this is? Like, these kids are probably like,
Yeah, like our 2 grammars.
2
I mean,
2
yeah,
pounds,
2
2
kilos.
pounds. Yeah, so we're gonna pass these around. So you can,
our 2-pound babies.
yes, these sweet littles. So we'll pass these
I'm
around.
thinking
So you can look
2009.
at it. Yeah, okay, so we'll just start here.
Okay, so I like to know my audience a little bit. How many of you guys considered me?
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, one of the reasons that I decided to do this is because I was really blessed with, I graduated from UTA with my BSN. And it was like before my final semester, my pediatric professor said, hey, I really feel like you've got a knack for peds. And I said, to be honest with you, I got 1 day in a NICU. But to me, that was the most interesting. Like it really got my attention. And she says, well, I happen to have been a NICU nurse for 23 years. So find 10 friends and I will put on a 6-hour upper elective NICU course for you this summer. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, oh, we had way more than 10 friends, but the first 10 that got in, she let us pick the NICU of our choice to spend the entire summer. And that's how I got into NICU nursing. So I picked the biggest, craziest NICU you could. I went to Parkland in Dallas, and I live in the west side of Fort Worth. I'm from Alito. So I picked the craziest NICU, and I was like, this is it. I'm either doing it at this level or I'm not doing it, So I know that that was a blessing that hardly anybody's given. I know some of y'all do capstones and you get into, doing a little bit more than just like one ancillary day, but it's rare. And so how do you at this point, as you're a nursing grad, getting close to graduation, if you're interested in NICU, that's all you are. That's all you have is an interest, right? You don't have a whole lot of information to make a career choice. And so that's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to develop this. So go ahead, did you have anything to say?
So pretty much what Mel said about when you're in school, you're near the end, and you're kind of thinking about what flavor of nursing you really want to go into. For me, I had gone into school and I thought NICU from the beginning. But then I worked as a tech with adults, and that kind of made me think like, oh, I might enjoy this, but I still kept coming back to NICU. But like Mel said, a lot of us only get maybe 1 day in a NICU if we're lucky, and I did. I got 1 day.
With me, right?
Yeah, with you. Yeah. And then I never got a PED semester in person because we went on spring break, and then we never went back in person. So my PED semester ended up being, because I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll go through PEDS, and that'll really be the closest that I get to the babies.
And then I never got that. So really, I applied for NICU jobs, having spent 8 hours in a NICU ever in my life. And that was really daunting to think like, I could totally be making a wrong choice. I didn't, surprise. I love what I do, but it is kind of scary to think like, NICU is so special, and you don't really see these kids until you graduate and you're working with them. So I've learned so much from her, and I'm really excited to keep learning from her and to help you talk
Help
about
them?
NICU.
Now
talk
that
about
I told you into
dynamics.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
So how many of you guys are getting close to graduating?
That's awesome.
Okay, awesome. So as you all know, right here, I'm gonna go ahead and take, what's a question? Let me take a couple of questions. If you're asking, what is the NICU really all about? What is something specific maybe you might wanna know? Anybody have a question? Go ahead.
What skills do you think great NICU nurses possess?
Great question. So to me, a skill is more than starting an IV, okay? You can learn those skills. That's not, I remember when I was first starting an IV on an adult and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't see this thing. I don't feel anything, nothing pops up. I'm supposed to hit this, what the heck? So babies actually are see-through for the most part. You can see those veins, crazy. But I would say that when it comes to skills, there's got to be some passion behind it. You've got to know that your patient that you can hold in one hand, you're its voice, you're its advocate. They don't have a voice. And so there's got to be some passion there. And I'll be honest with you, when I first became a NICU nurse, there were things that kept me up at night all the time because I just wanted to do it right. I just couldn't afford not to do it right. So one of the skills is having some passion. And of course, the next one's going to be being able to know your limits. So I don't care what can you start an IV? Can you stick an artery? I'm not really concerned about that when you walk into a NICU. I'm concerned is, are you teachable? Do you know when you need to ask questions? Do you have, okay, so here's a perfect example. We do all these flip-flops in nursing school, right? That's the whole reason I haven't gone back to get my MSN, okay? I'm just not into doing flip-flops anymore. I'm just like, ugh, I thought about it. I called UTA one day and I had to go like 3 different phone calls to talk to somebody. I was like, forget it, I'm not doing that. But you work so hard, and you're wanting to arrive. I just want the RN by my name. I just want to have that first day with my career and just get started. Okay, you want to arrive somewhere. And so when you walk into a NICU, it's like your first day in nursing school. You're like,
Square one.
Square one, you're like, I'm back at square one. Yes, because more than likely you haven't done an assessment of a neonate, a 2-pound baby. You haven't done, anything for these babies because we don't have a clinical semester in NICU. So it's literally square one. And that's okay, because you know what? I like being in a learning environment. I want you to teach me from square one. See, where I work, and we're not associated with a hospital here. We're not associating with a hospital. But where I work, we didn't even take new grads until Megan's the only second group. There was two nurses before her, and I was one of the preceptors for them. That's the first new grad we've taken. But you know what? I realized that's the type of nurse I want. They don't come in already knowing everything. They come in saying, tell me what to do. What do I need to do? And they just soak it up like sponges. And so that's really what you want to do. you've got to be able to just come in and realize, hey, I'm walking in, I'm brand new, I'm not expected to know anything. That's one of the big ones.
I was terrified about the physical skills, like, you know, learning to put an IV in or doing the assessment, because, I mean, babies have the same body systems as adults, but it's very little, and I was petrified. Am I going to be able to put an IV in? How on earth am I going to adapt what I learned in school and as a tech and all these things and do it and shrink it down to 2 pounds? I put Foley's in kids this big. It doesn't happen a ton, but you do. But I realized, like you said, Mel, you guys have taught us that. The nurses that are precepting, they teach you those things, just like you've learned from preceptors and clinicals and from your nursing instructors. But hands down, whether you're going into the NICU or, you know, any other field, as a new nurse, the biggest skill I think you can have is the ability to ask questions and know when you need help. Especially with these little kids, like you said, they don't have a voice. They can't say, I need this, or can you do this for me? So being able to advocate for these babies and being able to confidently say, I don't really answer that question, can you help me? Or can you teach me this? I think is the biggest skill you can go in with, because everything else it can be taught. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. You're really not expected to know how to start an IV on a baby. I had a new grad not that long ago, and I said, do you know what I expect you to know today? And she starts listing all this stuff. I was like, actually, I don't expect you to know anything. And she's like, oh, like her shoulders were just like, you know. And I was like, I don't expect you to know anything. And your orientation time, your residency, whatever they call it, man, that's your time to just relax. You get to get paid, and you get to just ride the hip of a NICU nurse and learn that you're not responsible for anything.
Y'all are paying to learn now, but then
Then you're gonna get paid to learn. Yes, absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
nice.
It's gonna be the best time. It's something to look forward to, you know? I'm gonna get paid to do this, and I can just sit back and watch. No. Any other questions about this? Go ahead.
What's like the most, I guess, nerve-wracking or stressful part of dating?
It depends.
So I'm a charge nurse most of the time. Like during the ice storm. Yeah, the expectation, it's gonna be at any hospital, I think. It doesn't matter, we're as faithful as the postman. You know what I'm saying? Rain, sleet, snow, or shine, you're still expected to go to work. We're one of the few, we're the essentials, and essentials are required to be there 24/7. One of the most stressful things I've had is when this ice storm hit and I had people calling in. And I was like, what am I gonna do? Because I'm charge nurse, I have day shift nurses here, but who's gonna cover my babies for the night? Are these nurses gonna have to work 24 hours? Like that was, recently, that was probably one of the most stressful things. Also had a baby not too long ago that, you know, was deteriorating, and we were starting all kinds of pressors on it. And when I looked up an IV pole, and it was 2 IV poles, and they both had force, you know, like things on them, I was like, we're acting like a big NICU now, you know? So
The most
when
nerve-wracking
your sick
part.
babies are, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
That baby that she's talking about, Mel was in charge during the day, and I'm the new grad, I come along at night. And so the most nerve-wracking part for me is I still have so much to learn. And I can walk into any situation. And Mel assigned that baby to me. And so I walked in and I was like, my first reaction was, I haven't clocked in yet, can I leave? But then my second reaction when blood came back to my brain was the nurses that I work with see me in action. My charge nurses know me enough to say, she hasn't taken a baby like this before, but she can. So that's the nerve-wracking part for me is they are they are pushing me, and I appreciate that, but it's hard. So I have to stay sharp and stay on my toes, because I literally could walk into whatever, because Mel's like, Megan can handle this tonight, she's gonna learn.
She
So-
graduated from the residency a year ago, or you hired her from a year ago?
So I finished my first year 3 days ago. Yeah,
So as you can see, if just not long ago, she took an assignment like that, it's not something you get thrown in when you're first hired on. There's nothing wrong with saying, oh, wow, I think I'm in over my head on this one. Either can you put a really experienced nurse next to me, or, and that's one of the things, like I said, I started out at Parkland. So it didn't matter if I had a really, really sick kid, I had 6 or 7 other nurses in the room with me. So at any point, if anything happened with my kid or if my kid coded, I had nurses jumping on board to help me out right there. So it was a great teaching atmosphere for me. So that, I literally, for the first 2 years of after I graduated, my residency, which was about 6 months long, first 2 years, I'd get nervous going to work every day. And that's all the way to Dallas. And I feel nervous walking in because the board of assignments is probably the width of this right here. And it'd have your name and whatever babies you had. And it'd be like 1 baby to your name. And you're like, oh, good gosh, if it's a 1-to-1, what is going on with it? Sometimes there are 2-to-1. 2 nurses to 1 patient. So, needless to say, and I don't care what kind of nursing you're going into, intensive care, whatever. If you were not nervous, I'd be a little concerned. You know what I'm saying? That's the great thing about being a new grad. Like I said, you're not expected to know everything when you walk in. New nurses, they graduate from nursing school, they want to be able to prove themselves. Like, I want to prove that I deserve to be here and have the RN behind my name. But truthfully, there's so much, like what you learn in nursing school is like 10% of what you need to know. And when you're dealing with people's lives, that's scary. And if you weren't scared, I'd be a little concerned. But you have some awesome mentors out there. There are awesome preceptors out there that can take you under their wing and show you everything you need to know. So like I said, it's not just for NICU nursing, that would be for any. So, okay, so the camp thing, the Longhorn thing, I'd love to do something like that. But I can't do adult puke. And I learned that in nursing school. I was like, oh, nope, that really limited where I could be a nurse. I was like, it's not happening. I told my husband halfway through nursing school, I can't be a nurse. And he's like, oh yeah, you can. I was like, nope, I can't do it, dude. I can't deal with puke. I can't do it.
I don't do teeth, and guess what? My patients don't have teeth.
And I thank God for people who do adults. Thank you, Lord. People that can do psych, adults, kids, like kids do big puke. Did we answer your question? So going into NICU nursing, I had a student nurse that was there for her day, and she said, this is something I think I'd really like to do, but my friend told me, somebody told me that it's just so hard to get into. I said, well, are you a good student? She's like, yeah, I'm a real good student. I said, if not you, then who? And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, if you let this person tell you, oh, don't try for that because it's way too hard, you just made her job easier to get in. You see what I'm saying? So if you want it, do it. Go for it. I said, dude, we'll teach you everything you need to know. And she's like, I told her, I said, don't make it easier for the person that wants to get into NICU that's telling you don't do it. I said, it's a mindset. And that's any field of nursing. Make up your mind what you want to do and go do it. Don't be afraid.
I had people tell me I would not get into NICU because I had an ADN. here we are. So, yeah, NICU.
And she just got her BSN.
Yeah. There are some, like, you'll know, on Instagram, TikTok, there are so many nurse influencers out there. And I'm seeing a lot of them saying, like, if you want to do NICU, go straight for it. And I totally agree. If you have a passion for babies, or you think that NICU is something you're interested in, it is a small community. I've learned very quickly that everybody knows everybody because it's a very tight-knit, small community, even across DFW. But go for it, because the worst that can happen is that they say no, but that's still better than not applying at all. Other questions? I'll be honest, even after I got the job, I was like, oh snap. I signed a contract and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this because, I mean, like, most of us don't hold 2-pound babies or 3 pounds or really anything under like 6 or 7.
We had a 900-gram one the other day.
Yes, yes. And I remember that, I still can remember the very first tiny preemie that I ever held. And honestly, it was like when the wand chooses Harry and it was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. It's gonna be hard, but I can do this. But until then, and I had that like moment, it was like in the parking lot every day before I clocked in, because I was really, really nervous. Like, can I do this? And to just reiterate what Mama said, whether it's NICU or wherever you're going, nurses are not expecting you to know everything. They're gonna help you, but NICU is different, y'all. NICU is different because we have little lives in our hands, and we can't make assumptions. We can't do things on our own. I never do anything by myself. If I need help or if I need a second set of hands, someone's always right there with me, because that's just how we take care of our kids. And understanding that dynamic is how NICUs run. Makes me feel like I can't do this. Like the really sick little kid that Mel gave me. Can I do this? Yes. And
If
I'm
not,
also,
I'm right
I'm
here,
gonna
I
have
can help
help. Yeah. So it really is intimidating when you think about NICU. I've never been in one. I think I want to do it. Can I do it? You can.
Another big skill is your communication skills. So if you're not a great communicator, that's something you want to start working on. If you're in nursing school, start working on it. Start working on being able to ask the doc. So like, let's say you're in a clinical and the doc's doing rounds and your nurse is there doing rounds. Practice by taking a step and asking the doctor a question directly, something that you want to know. And you will find out that that doctor would love to be able to answer some of those questions. Practice asking and speaking to a doctor and getting rid of that intimidation factor. You know, when you're brand new, you just don't want to sound stupid. I just don't want to ask something dumb, you know? So, and the worst thing in a NICU is just to not ask the question. I've, like I said, a preceptor for 14 years. And so, you know, I had somebody that was about to give a medication and I said, hey, so what's the mechanism of action on that drug? And she's like, oh, I said, but you're about to give it. She's like, yeah, but I gave it the other day. And I was like, no. I said, you really need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. I said, look up that drug, know how it works, because that's going to tell you if it's a drug, if it's a Lasix drug, if you're giving Lasix, then that means you're changing this baby's chemistry. What do you then need to be looking for? Oh, I need to make sure that labs, that I talk to the doctor, because there are no labs in for this baby. That's something you're going to need to do. What do we need to do? We also need to be weighing his diapers. You're fixing to put out some urine. That's going to change. What are some signs of dehydration? So when you do something, it always will have a repercussion of something, right? So always try, try now that you're in nursing school, anything you see that nurse do, start asking yourself, why is she doing that? Let's go a few steps further. And that in a NICU is very important. You've got to know how to change your care plan. I'll never forget nursing school. Oh my gosh, we'd write those care plans, right?
The color
At least
code.
now y'all are just type it up, whatever, no. Oh, why, my way, you know. One day I was always the smart aleck, I guess. I was like, you know, I've not seen one nurse fill out a care plan like this. Like, what are we doing? Why do we have to keep doing this? And she's like, I go, you know, I've done it for so many semesters, and I'm like, not one nurse I've seen write a full care plan like this. She's like, because you won't, because they do the care plan in their mind. You're doing it on paper because eventually you're gonna be able to do it in your head. I did this action, therefore I'm looking for this. What are the signs that it's not going well? What are the signs that it's effective? How is the outcome? And so it's that process that you really begin to use when you're on your own, but practice the process now. Try to answer the question. So you're gonna have to look up, right? Your interventions, your outcomes, this and that. But before you look it up, go ahead and start trying to think of it first. See if you can't start coming up with the outcomes on your own and your interventions on your own. Then look it up and see if you were close. Go ahead.
So as you guys, do you guys still have in-person clinicals? Yes. So when you're a student, you know, sometimes I know that I felt scared to ask a nurse practitioner, RPA, or a doctor questions. And some of them are scary, let's be real. Like some coffee. But so I work nights, and you know, I'll finish my first round of assessing and everything. And then if the nurse practitioner is around, I'll sit down and say, hey, can I have a few minutes of your time? I've never done this before, or I've never seen this before. Can you talk to me about what y'all's conversation as the providers is? Why are we doing this? What are we looking for? And 9 times out of 10, unless they are like pressed for time or there's an emergency, that nurse practitioner is like, girl, yes, let me sit down and tell you. They're logging into charts, they're pulling out textbooks, and they're talking to me about their thought process. And so it's helping me kind of hone mine, like, okay, this is what the expectation is here. This is what I should be looking for. In my assessment, I'm going to make sure that I pay extra attention to this system. So I think that's another one of those skills, is just making sure that you are you're hungry for answers and for knowledge, because you're going to finish school and it's wonderful, and you're going to study for your NCLEX. You're going to pass it, you're going to crush it, and hopefully you get a break. And then when you hit the floor for your first day, just be ready to start over again and ask those questions. And I think like the practitioners know that I want to hear them nurse out loud. You probably hear that from your instructors, is to nurse out loud. And when you go into a situation and you're asking those questions, those practitioners are awesome, and they really have helped me grow as a new nurse and to have a better understanding of what we're doing with the babies.
Some docs want to give you an education moment, and you're like, I don't have time for education. I got to go, we got to transfuse this baby, and you're wanting to tell me all the ins and outs. But I'll sit there and I'll take my notes and I'll be like, okay, it's obviously something I need to know, and it's something I need to be able to answer. So again, go for what you want to do. Life is way too short, guys, to get into a field of nursing that you don't want to be in. You are going to spend the majority of your life in a hospital or in a clinic or whatever with people that are not your family. So go for it. That's what I'm saying. Don't hold back, and don't be intimidated to the point where you choose, well, I think I'll just go here, or I think I'll just take this job because I'm just not getting, you know. I want to challenge you. If you're interested in NICU, do it. Sweet little baby. They are stinky still, but they're cute.
My mom sends me all these like jokes and memes and stuff, but I did not realize how quickly my brain kind of NICU'd until I saw my best friend had a baby. He was healthy, he weighed 8 pounds, and I saw him and I was like, oh my gosh, he's huge. He's ready for college. Because again, like we're
A 7-pound baby is humongous to us, right?
Yes, and we do get term babies, they're nice and chunky. But I had not even realized how quickly, I mean, this was just a couple months in, that my brain had switched to preemies are the normal, you know, these little 3-pound children, you don't have any fat, they're kind of.
So here's another skill, if you're looking to
They're
get
so-
into NICU, you can do, go over the head to toe assessment of a newborn. If you do enough normal newborn, then you'll be able to pick out when something is wrong. So if NICU is something you're interested in, I would start now while you're in school. Take that L&D, but what do they, y'all have newborn, what's it called now, newborn, whatever. What?
Just
L&D,
like
what y'all's
maternal
clinical?
child or
Maternal
something.
child,
There's a
whatever.
pregnant woman
Yeah.
on the cover.
There's the assessment of a newborn in there somewhere. Become familiar with those terms. Become familiar with a head to toe of a healthy newborn, I should say. Then you can start picking out the unhealthy. Go ahead. Any questions? What else can we answer for you?
Did you already ask if they've been in?
At the beginning.
Oh, yes, yes.
Have you done your clinical day in the NICU already? How many have already? Oh, there's so many of you that haven't. Nice. Well, see, now you already know what to start preparing for.
How many of you are first semester, like first year students? That's awesome.
About time.
So I'm not sure how it's structured for you guys, but when I did my OB rotation, did all my maternal stuff, NICU wasn't really on the schedule because a lot of people are just like trying to skate through women's. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. But I asked my my instructor at the beginning, hey, I think I'm interested in NICU. If an opportunity arises, can I please try to go into NICU? So if you have even an inkling that you might want to see it, ask your professors and see if they can arrange it. Because I saw like 6 vaginal deliveries in a couple of weeks, and I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I saw some C-sections, seen enough. And then my professor went into the NICU, and at the time, you guys really hadn't had very many students before. And just my instructor went in and said, hey, I have a student who thinks she's really interested. Do you mind? And they let me in. And I followed Mel around all day, and I was like, tell me more. I hung on every word she said because I was just so fascinated. But if I hadn't asked my professor, it wouldn't have happened. So just ask the people. And they'll usually say yes because people are like, yeah, we need more baby nurses.
We're at a time now where, new grads in the NICU is happening. And that says a lot for you guys. Before they wouldn't even let y'all touch babies. But we're getting to the point now, and I think as younger people are taking leadership roles in NICUs, they know that y'all's fresh brain is where it's at. Your abilities to learn. Us old people, we forget stuff, good gosh. And that's why I did this. I turned 50 last year. And I was determined at 50 years old, because I was like, I can only run to so many deliveries. There's only so many running events that I'm going to be able to make. These knees need replacing. So I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna continue to impact the NICU world when I retire, or when I say that I can't do this anymore? And don't get me wrong, I love a baby coat. I love to be a charge nurse. I love, all the crazy things that go on in the NICU. I love it. But I'm a realist too. And I know that my passion for babies, I don't want it to stop when one day I'm just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And so that's where the whole idea of helping new grads kind of bridge that gap to getting into a NICU, because I know y'all don't have that in a clinical. And I realized nobody else, I couldn't find anybody else who was doing it. You the one. So I'm actually going to, I actually delivered him. And that's when they're already at home and whatever. He was a little under 2 pounds when he was born. So this is where it's at. I texted his mom because she had already signed consent, and I have a few other pictures that I'm going to use of him down the road of them, of her babies. But I texted her and I said, oh my gosh, she had just posted this like as a memory memoir or whatever. And I loved it. And I said, hey, can I use this picture of your babies in the talk for TC? And she's like, absolutely. And I said, thank you for having these cute babies. And she goes, thank you for saving them. So that's really what it's all about, because it doesn't get any better than that. Is it intense? Well, of course it's intense and caring. Is it scary? Well, yeah, any nursing really should be. And you're dealing with somebody's world. I don't know, people say it all the time, you can do anything to me, but my children, And you know, I have a 14-year-old, and he has asthma. He was over there going, I'm like, no, dude, they're gonna think you got COVID. Out. He has real bad asthma. But you know, when he's sick and I take him to the doctor, man, do I want the nurse with the most compassion. I want the doc who knows what he's doing, who's not afraid to do what he needs to do. I want a team that takes care of my kid. That's the A team. And so when I became a NICU nurse, that was my mindset. I want to do this at the best level, and if I can't do it at that level, I'm not doing this at all. Because when you're dealing with somebody's world, there's nothing more precious in this world. So I'm going to have I just have left, yes, technologically challenged. However, I was like, all right, Megan, I have my own personal profile, but I want to do one for this because I have worked for almost a year now on developing a mentorship program, a course, and it's going to be multiple courses. There's a lot of legality that goes into it, especially in the field of nursing, and that might be why nobody's really done this before. I wanted to make sure, I work really hard for my license, so I want to make sure that anything I build is going to legally be correct. And so I've really taken a lot of time to make sure that everything's legal. Now, in a few weeks, everything's supposed to come back to me. The domains, all that stuff that you're allowed to have, the names, all that. So we are slowly working on, but it's going to be called Nursing for Tiny Humans. And what it really is going to be, all different kinds of stuff. I encourage you to check it out and just join us. And if you want more information and you want to be in on the ability or the opportunity to see the courses that I'm going to put out, it's going to be all different varieties of stuff, even like neonatal resuscitation preparation, extremely low birth weight, prep for certification, that kind of stuff. And I'm just gonna have like different mentoring things. So, and I hope Megan will continue to help me. I will. Any questions, guys? That's all I have for you. I did also, these lovely ladies over here, Kate and Jill, they came and visited me, or they were in our NICU, right? Both of y'all. And then, did I have you in L&D? Which one I had in L&D? I got floated to L&D one day, and you know, nobody likes to float. Everybody likes to have their field that they work in. Don't send me to somewhere else I want to, but we all have to float, that's part of it. So I went over to L&D to help what they call baby catch. So to be the one taking care of baby when it's born. And they said, oh, by the way, you've got an OMT. And I'm like, okay. Hang on, Jill, because let me tell you something. There's a tornado that follows me everywhere, even in the NICU. They call me Melnado. Anyway,
It's the truth.
so when I'm charged, we're going to deliver babies. We're going to run to codes. Moms are going to drop their babies in toilets. Moms get
We're in the parking lot.
Yeah, in the parking lot, coming in hot. Moms are getting kicked in the belly, and here comes baby. You know, be ready. So it's always like that for me. It's exhausting. That's why I said I can't handle this forever. So anyway, I told her, I said, hang on, because if I'm in L&D, that means every baby's gonna be crazy. And sure enough, we went to so many deliveries. It was nuts. She was like, oh my God, I think I see why they. Everybody's like, we go. Anyway, but anyway, I also met with them one day too, when we talked about like interview questions. I also sit on the interview board at my hospital, and I can tell you there's a lot of tips that I want to share. I just want to serve, continue to impact the NICU world. And so I'm going to try to make links and availability to everybody. Yeah, we sat and ate, and I gave them some stuff that they could use for practicing for interviews. So, any questions?
Just a side note on that. I was fully prepared / totally sweating in my blazer when I interviewed for NICU. I was like, they're gonna ask me about some sort of prioritization in the NICU, and I have no idea. They're probably not. They will for adult interviews, but for babies, again, they totally expect you to know nothing about babies. So don't sweat it. They're not gonna ask you like, if this child's blood sugar is this, and this baby has a brain bleed, what do you do? They're not gonna ask you that. But I really sweated, so just a side note.
In an interview, I'm gonna want to know your communication skills. Of course, some of this stuff I covered with you already. Are you able to ask for help when you need it? How do you handle conflict? So you're always gonna work, everybody's gonna work with somebody that they're like, your opinions don't match. You know, we have different ways of doing nursing. There are more ways to skin a cat than one. So you just really have to know how to handle conflict, know how to have a peer-to-peer with your colleagues, know how to discuss things.
I have a question for you. What's your very favorite part of being in NICU?
Oh, when they get to go home and I get to see their pictures. We have a Facebook page and parents post pictures of their babies and they give us updates on how they're doing. And that's my favorite. I love making that kind of difference.
It's mine too. You see these babies come in and they're sick. And then you get to watch them get better from here. And then they reach the next milestone and the next one and the next one. And then they go home. And then you get pictures.
One of the questions I asked myself, and this will be the last one. Sorry, I don't know what we'll finish now. I told myself, I don't know how I'm supposed to handle when we lose babies. So that was one of my biggest concerns. You're not gonna know. But I have a big faith and know that I am simply a tool that God uses to help. And sometimes it's not meant to be. And you know what? I'm gonna do everything I can on my part. And I know that death's a part of life. So we know as nurses, right, that death is a part of life. And so sometimes at one point I had a baby and I was fighting. We're coding and we'd done so many chest compressions. His little chest was rubbed raw. So we're going. And at that point where parents decided to withdraw care, it's done. And I was cleaning him up. They wanted him all cleaned up before it took him. And as I was cleaning him up, he started to whimper. And I thought, oh, because he wasn't conscious the entire code, right? He started to whimper and I was like, oh, Jesus, help me. And so I bathed him and I wrapped him in warm blankets and I held him and I rocked him and I began to sing to him. And I was like, because I knew he was gonna pass away before I could get it to his mom. And I sang to him and I'm like, you know what? I was your nurse in trying to save your life. And now I'm gonna be your nurse in death. And that's okay. That's okay. Because I wanna be there for you, no matter what your need is. And that's what he needed right then. So that's a part of the #1 trusted profession in the world. And I'm congratulating all.
Keep going, you're almost there.
Thank you guys.
Where did the diaper and blood pressure test?
Oh, they're right here.
Great.
Okay, thank you all so much.
You're welcome.
our raffle prize. It's a gift card guessing game. First two people. Oh,
Common ground.
thank you. Literally, she already said it. Someone else, please.
Common ground.
Great, okay. There's, that's really good. That was amazing. Okay, and your gift cards are down here. Thank you.
If y'all are on Zoom, just stay tuned. I'll send y'all a link shortly. But that's the end of our meeting. So thank you guys so much for coming. Please grab a cookie on your way out.
Oh, God, thank you.